If I was to say to you, we're going to cream, butter and sugar, what would that mean? Put your hands up. Erin?
You beat it together vigorously until it goes lighter in colour and fluffier.
What a beautiful, beautiful description of creaming. Alright, we're going to beat or whisk or whatever. Soft butter, and it has to be soft so that when you press it like this, it squidges. If it doesn't squidge like that, it's not soft enough. Alright? How much sugar do we need, guys? Half a cup. Now, listen, we've got new, Caitlin or you or Mitchell, if you go in there, you've got new cup measurers.
Yeah, sure.
You like them? Now, guys, I don't have those, so can you please pass me a cup? Is it a cup measure? All right, attention again, please. So, half a cup. When we measure half a cup, what's important?
It's flat
level. So you can use your finger if you want.
Use a knife.
You can use a knife, like Josh shouts out correctly. All right. In with the sugar. In with the butter. Now there's a trick that I haven't done that makes life easy. If you beat that butter first, then add the sugar, it's easier to mix together. Whereas now the sugar's not going to want to go everywhere, which we can manage by using a spatula, just to press it together first. Alright, now you can use a spatula to cream it. We generally use a whisk. But as long as it creams and mixes together, gets paler, job is done. So utensils, write down the utensil that I've got in front of me. Bowl, spatula, bin, cup measurers, that's correct. Now can you see it's coming together as one mass? That's good. Eventually we need to, this bowl isn't big enough, that's why it's flying out, but I don't have another one under here. Eventually we need to be able to mix it vigorously, as Evan said, and it be like a paste, cream consistency, okay? Can anybody tell me, now we're going to add flour to this to make the biscuits, can anybody tell me why we're doing this? It's putting a little bit of air into it, yeah? What's the main reason? Yeah, it's going to help that texture of creaminess a little bit, but we're adding sweetness into the mix first of all. Second of all, the fat is going to shorten the gluten in the flour, so the biscuit is crumbly. We've talked about that before, haven't we? Shortening gluten in biscuits. Well, we have in. If you look on the website, you will see a video that talks about it. So in flour, you know when you make a bread and you've got big air bubbles in it? Yes? That's the protein structure. Okay, where the air expands and the protein holds it in. That's the gluten that isn't short and it's joined together to be strong. In a biscuit we don't want that because that's a tough texture, we want a crumbly texture, right? So we shorten the gluten by introducing fat, which prevents gluten strands joining together, so they stay short, hence short crust pastry. You heard of that before? And what's those biscuits called? I forgot what they're called now. Shortbread. You heard of shortbread biscuit? Those gluten strands in the flour have been shortened or prevented to join by fat, which makes them short and crumbly. Simple. That's what we're doing here. So as soon as we add, see how I can move it quickly now? It's a paste. This is creamy. It's not going to go too light in colour because the sugar's brown. If it was white sugar, it would be lighter in colour. All right, what's next, please, Oliver? Oscar, Simmons. What are we adding next?
Add an egg.
Ooh, you like baby girls?
So we're gonna add an egg. Why do you think we're adding the egg now? Hang up.
To keep it all together.
Well, it's already together.
I mean, like when you have the actual biscuit, when you eat into it, won't just crumble into.
Yep. So yep, binds it a little bit because there's protein, which forms a structure. In the egg white is protein that will form like a scaffolding structure in the biscuit. So yes. Also, why is it going in now and not after the flour?
Because it would be too dry if you just added in the flour now.
Remember, there's fat in here as well. We're still trying to shorten the gluten or make sure it stays short. So we add the fat in now. So fat and protein, in you go. Right, that's good. The fat in the yolk is going to help shorten the gluten. The protein in the white will help form the structure as it cooks. A bit like scaffolding, yeah. And the flour will also help the structure. Now when you mix this in, you see how it looks quite wet? It's not mixed in until that wetness goes. Yes? Remember we're recording. So just persevere. Don't think, oh yeah, that's done, look. No, it's not, because there's still wetness. Alright? So it doesn't matter what your recipe says, you need to learn what things look like when they're finished. Okay? When they're done. Technique is what you need to learn. When the egg is beaten in, when it is mixed in. Right. You'll be out there in a minute. So the wetness is going. Yeah? Pardon? So there we go. Mixed in. No wetness, it's moist, don't get me wrong, but there's no... Alright, done. What's next, please, Eden?
Flour.
Which flour?
Hold in the flour in the roll.
Which flour?
Plain white yolk.
Any other flour?
Oatmeal is the one.
Wholemeal self-raising. How much do we need of each? How much do we need of each?
3/4 of a cup of wholemeal self-raising.
Alright, can you get me those cup measures, please? Look at that, what an assistant. So it's a 1/4 cup of which? The wholemeal?
Plain.
1/4 cup of plain. Making sure it's level. I just use the side of the container. Boom. And then 1/3 of a cup, is that correct?
No, 3/4. 3/4.
You're putting me wrong, Caitlin. If you get lumps like that in the flour, can you get 3/4, please? Just push them through with your hands, okay? Doesn't mean that anything foreign is going to go in there. Because if you can't get through the hole, you can't get through the hole. But just push it in. 3/4 of a cup. That's 1/3 as well. There's no 3/4. Give us a 1/4 then, I'll do 3 of them.
3/4 cup. You always have to do with a half and a quarter.
Or 3/4.
I mean 3.
There's... Am I going to sift wholemeal flour?
Yes.
No, you don't need to.
Hold on.
We'll eat it, yes.
You see the husk that's in there? That's the reason we're using it. Alright, the brown husk from the wheat is in there, in this flour. And that's what we're using it for texture and flavour. Okay? So we're not going to sieve it because the husk will not get through the sieve. And I will demonstrate that in a second if you need me to. Alright? So a little bit of that. If you sieve it, brown husk. The only reason we're using wholemeal flour is for the brown husk, for texture and flavour. And nutrients, Oscar. Well done. Folding. So let's look at the technique of folding, shall we? So round the edge, fold it into the middle. Round the edge, fold it into the middle. Round the edge, fold it into the middle. Don't go mix, mix, mix. We're not mixing or stirring. We're asked to fold, correct? Why are we folding? Why are we doing it that way? How much of these oats do we need? Third. Another. Thank you. We'll go for the pink. There's no point folding unless we've got everything in, alright? So we're folding to fold over the ingredients and get some air into it. Every time it folds, it will trap some air. Okay? And when that cooks, it's going to expand and help with the crumb of the biscuit. Alright, press it in. Don't we need some apple in this, guys? Who's read the recipe? Peel and chop, you reckon? Alright, well I'm not going to peel, but I'm going to cut out the core. Why am I not going to peel it? Caitlin says nutrients, yep. Fibre. Fibre's in the skin. Do you think we'll get a bit of texture from that as well? Because it's not going to cook out fully, it's still going to have a firm texture there, which is nice, and a bit of flavour. So what's the best way to get this in there, do you think?
Grating.
Pardon?
Grating.
Grating? Anybody disagree with grating? Why is grating a good technique to use to put in here?
Nice and small.
Nice and small and it's fast. More even, all those things. And it's a similar size to everything else that's in there. See? Thinking. Not that it's hard, but you're thinking. Alright, cool. I'm going to grate onto the board. Hopefully you get a good grater. Now these aren't sharp enough to cut your hand. So don't be afraid. I mean it's barely grating the apple. Alright? Sorry?
Why do we do this inside?
Because it's just well done it, mate. I don't want to be left. If I do the flesh side first, I'm going to be left with a load of skin at the end. Alright? If I do the skin side first, then everything will go. Thinking. My fingers are going up and down there, and they're absolutely fine. So, but don't try that on every grater. I just know you can do it on this one. All right. Safety, please. Don't go home with a brand new grater. You'll cut yourself. Watch it doesn't slip. Pardon, Jimmy? You like grating cheese? Is it really good fun, Jim? I like eating the cheese I've grated, but the What other things do you grate, Jimmy? Jimmy, what other things do you grate other than cheese? Just cheese, eh? Alright, back to the folding. Look at this, what a beautiful thing. Huh? Now it's very important, guys. I know you think, oh, we read a recipe, we follow the steps, this, that and the other. If you understand what's going on, like shortening the gluten, like folding, like adding in the air, like putting in the egg, and when you're doing it, if you understand that process, and you know not to do the next step before the previous step's finished, you'll get a much better product at the end, alright? not just about reading recipes, because everybody will read a recipe different and do it differently. If you understand the steps and techniques properly, like hopefully if you watch the videos you will, then you'll learn how to cook. Which is why we're here, yeah? Good. So now, it's turning out beautiful, isn't it? Now, when do you think this step will be finished? Hands up. So you don't need your recipe for this because all it tells you to do is fold, isn't it? But when do you think the folding is finished? What does that look like?
It's all stuck together.
Basically when you can't see any more flour.
Yes. So when it's a big pile of
Ingredients.
Big pile of ingredients. Alright, when you can't see any more flour on the mixture, that's the job done. That's the job of the folding done. Okay? So it's a visual.
So did you sanitize the bench first?
Yeah. Good question. It's a visual of when it's finished. So if you can't see any more flour in there, done. Okay? Now, if it's like that on the bench, by all means, flour. Now you can, it doesn't matter what flour. I'm going to sieve that there. I don't want to put heaps of flour in, why not? It'll dry it up, and I don't want to do that, so that's enough. Now you can do just hold on guys, listen up, you can do the cutting of your cookies however you want, but I'm going to show you the way I would do it, alright? So we've got a nice even cylinder, shall we say? Cylinder. So what we're going to do is, I've got a chef's knife because I want a clean cut, alright? Yes, Everin?
What happened to the walnuts?
We can't have nuts in school.
Really?
Yeah, because some... Anyway, if you just pay attention, good question. Let's follow this. So sharp knife in half, and just keep chopping each portion in half. And if you do that, you're going to get even pieces, correct? And then just stick them up like that.
How many cookies do you reckon?
Well, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. 16. Is that enough for you, Jimmy? Here, you, Jimmy. Alright, so you see what I'm doing. Let's bring in the tray into there. How beautiful is that? So we cut them in half, shape them even. Now, if you want to, you can leave them like that, or you can do a little fork imprint. Now, what's going to happen to these when the heat hits them? They're going to spread a bit, depending on what?
How much self-raising
How much fat?
Flour, the ratio of butter to flour. Because what wants to happen is, the butter, if you just put some butter in there, what's going to happen? A big pool of liquid. It's going to melt. What stops that from happening? The flour. It keeps it dry. So depending on the ratio of flour to butter, depends on how much it will spread. I haven't cooked these before, so it's going to be a surprise to me. But what we've got I don't think they'll spread that much. But then again, I might be wrong. Alright? But leave space between them. Okay? Have you answered the questions on your sheet? Read them out, please.
What ingredients are high in fiber?
What ingredients are high in fibre?
rolled oats,
Rolled oats, wholemeal flour. How about the plain flour?
no,
Why not? Because it's been processed and the fibre has been removed. Hence the reason I said we're using the wholemeal flour for that brown stuff, which is the skin, the husk of the wheat. It's full of fibre.
Can we say walnuts?
You want to say walnuts, you can, but we're not using them. Alright, so there we go. Video will go on mrlightfoot.com for your viewing pleasure. Just before you go to bed, put you to sleep.